Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? All right, so as you can see, I am using the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 8 Pro to film the A-roll for what you're watching right now, which is my work-from-home camera test. What you're seeing right now are a bunch of photos of basically just things around my house, and that's why this is called the work-from-home camera test. So make sure you keep an eye out on the bottom corner, that way you can see when I'm using certain cameras or certain modes in the OnePlus 8 Pro. And then later in the video, I actually did take out the OnePlus 8 Pro and the smaller OnePlus 8, and I did some comparison shots with them. That way you can see some of those differences as well, to see what you're getting on the lesser version of the OnePlus 8 as compared to the Pro, which obviously has some higher specifications. So higher resolution recording on the front-facing camera would be nice to see, but as you're seeing right now, this is a 1080p video at the moment, and while I do have some really good lighting, as you can see I have a light on right now, the quality does degrade as the light leaves the scene, which is why I'm ensuring that I have the best possible situation to make this camera look good. One thing that's really dope though is that the audio is going to be quite good coming from this phone. I have heard some comparisons already between the OnePlus 8 Pro and other phones like the OnePlus 7 Pro even. This is one of those improvements that I'm just really appreciative of because I can actually record this segment right now without having to rely on external audio. But of course, we do want to make sure that the production quality of videos like this remains fairly high, so I am going to go to my usual voiceover for the rest of this video. As my camera tests usually go, I try to vlog with the phone throughout a particular day, but I can't do the real world camera test because it's kind of hard to actually go out into the real world right now, so this is the work from home camera test. It starts off with the usual thing, and that is of course making my coffee. And this is where you're seeing one of my favorite aspects of the camera right now. It's that it actually has a 4K cinematic aspect ratio. So you record in 4K, but then there is already going to be these black bars at the top and bottom. If you're watching this in full screen on any device right now, it's because the aspect ratio is not 16:9, it's actually a little bit more narrow than that. This is a cinematic aspect ratio. It just makes everything look a little bit more filmic, and I do enjoy that it is here on the phone. It's one of the main options that you have when you get into the settings. So you're going to be seeing a lot of video coming from the rear cameras that are all done at this 4K Cine. And you can also do that across all of the different lenses. So even the wide angle lens and even zooming in, I'm able to keep this aspect ratio. There are a lot of modes that you can use in the camera app, everything from slow motion modes to video modes, photo modes, manual modes, all of that stuff. So you get pretty much everything you could expect from the camera application, except for just extra features for the front facing. Like I said before, a lack of 4K video recording is still something that is a bit of a bummer. One more shout out to just the color filter lens that's on there. It's still a bit of a head scratcher as to why this was a priority for the cameras on the OnePlus 8 Pro. There is an extra filter called photochrome that is trying to recreate a film filter by using that lens, or rather that color filter sensor exclusively. By the way, did you know there's a wire right here so that you can like pinch it down and it'll keep the mask, or at least try to keep the mask from coming down while you're talking? It's been weeks since we've been in this quarantine era, and I did not know that. It would have really helped for the 1, 2, 3 times that I actually went out. Even with everything that's going on, it's still been pretty difficult to actually get camera samples and whatnot, because we're able to walk around our neighborhoods and whatnot as long as we socially distance, and now it's mandatory for us to be wearing masks in public. So now the rain has finally ended. We finally have some sunlight, which gives the OnePlus 8 Pro one of the perfect situations for its good cameras to shine. And you also get the wide angle, like I'm using right now for video, and those zoom levels that give you a hybrid zoom of 3 times, which is the default, and that's a pretty good length for most situations, like for taking pictures of California's signature palm trees. And as far as the actual usage of the camera app is concerned, one of my favorite parts about this phone is actually something that's a rarity in camera applications. When you tap on your subject and you get the exposure and the focus right using that, you can also click this little lock icon that is above the exposure slider, and it locks the focus and exposure. And while the autofocus of the OnePlus 8 Pro is pretty good, it's definitely not giving me too many problems. Locking the focus is still one of those main tips I give people if you're going to make video content using a smartphone. You can easily see over here how they've closed the local park. Well, in the very least, these basketball courts. That way people aren't close together, playing in teams, stuff like that. Social distancing, obviously, is the name of the game here. So they have the caution tape all over the place. Nice brisk walk up and down the hills of this neighborhood of mine. Yeah, it's nice to be outside. It's nice to have the sun out once again. Just got to make sure to have that mask. And also, top tip for any of you out there, if you've been using masks like this, remember there's that wire here. It really does leave everything, it really does keep the mask from drooping down from your nose. So top tip, it's a good thing, especially if you're someone like me who wears glasses. Since it's pushed down, it's not going to fog up your glasses anymore. So good stuff. So I did move over to the OnePlus 8 in order to film this segment, where it's my overhead rig, and I'm literally using it with that 4K Cine once again, because it's available on the OnePlus 8 as well, to record me applying the teardown skin to the OnePlus 8 Pro. The teardown skin is still available. Obviously, it's from Dbrand, who also sponsored this video, so thanks to Dbrand for that. The teardown skin is still one of the coolest things that you can have on any of these smartphones, and it's available over at Dbrand. You can find the link in the description. So another shout out to the OnePlus 8 Pro for having certain features above the regular OnePlus 8, and we're going to get into the camera comparison in a second. But I did use the OnePlus 8 Pro as my phone or camera for certain Instagram lives and also for some video calls, obviously calling the girlfriend who is out in the Philippines. So being able to have the phone on the 30-watt wireless charger means that I'm not going to lose any battery life whatsoever during those video calls. So we can get into the camera comparisons, and I took a bunch of shots using both of these phones. That way you can see what the differences might be if you're looking at the OnePlus 8, which is available on carriers and online, or the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is available mostly online. First differences come in on the front-facing cameras. They're both 16 megapixels, but the aperture on the OnePlus 8 is actually a little bit wider. For the most part, though, especially in low-light situations, you're not really going to see that much of a difference. After all, if you're going to use the portrait mode using the front-facing camera, you're going to get the same general amount of software-created blur. Now, the rear cameras are where things really kind of change up, because the main sensor being at 48 megapixels, they're actually using two different sensors here. The one on the OnePlus 8 Pro is a more recent sensor, so it's going to have a little bit better processing, and it's something that I did notice throughout my testing of the two phones. You can make sure to get full 48 megapixel photos from here, so you're using the full extent of the sensor instead of pixel binning it down to the 12 megapixel general results. And overall, I think that the quality, especially in pretty good lighting, is about the same between the two. Now, granted, once you get into lower light situations, the 48 megapixel sensor on the smaller OnePlus 8 is going to suffer a little bit more. And that's mostly because the HDR processing on the smaller OnePlus 8 seems to not do quite as much as the one found on the OnePlus 8 Pro. See, there are certain situations like the one you're seeing right now where the HDR already made a pretty usable photo on the OnePlus 8 Pro in this super dark situation. And it was then that I turned on the Nightscape mode, and the Nightscape did plenty more to help the OnePlus 8 achieve a usable photo when compared to the OnePlus 8 Pro, which already did a fairly decent job just through its HDR processing without the Nightscape on. That ultrawide on the OnePlus 8 Pro is also a 48 megapixel sensor, which is a great thing to see. 48 megapixel sensor for the ultrawide lens of the OnePlus 8 Pro also means that its level of processing is going to be above that of the 16 megapixel ultrawide on the OnePlus 8. You can see how in this case the night mode from the 48 megapixel ultrawide simply does a better job because it is better equipped for that situation and for that mode. The OnePlus 8 only gets a little bit of a boost using Nightscape on that ultrawide lens. Now, the final lens on the rear of the OnePlus 8 is a macro lens, but unfortunately getting really close to a subject, while that's cool, for a 2 megapixel photo, the results are not all that great. The thing is, the OnePlus 8 Pro uses its 48 megapixel ultra wide lens to pull double time as the macro lens as well. That's a great feat. That's a great thing for them to use because you get high quality macro shots by using that ultra wide. And so there you have it, back on the OnePlus 8 Pro for this final portion of the video. I hope you all enjoyed not only this weird look into the work from home lifestyle that I have right now, but also the comparison between the cameras of this and the cameras of the OnePlus 8. So go ahead and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you pick up or pre-order, or by now you probably are actually getting your OnePlus 8s or OnePlus 8 Pros? So let me know what your experience has been so far. Get into the comment sections down below. Let's go ahead and have some of those discussions. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves in there, and I will jump into the comments as I can. From there, drop some likes on this video and then get over to that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. From there, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, I would just remind you to enjoy your tea, everybody.